Hello, my beautiful It's So Real family. It's your girl Rocqi from It's So Real Podcast and Rocqi's Reactions. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then go on down to the description box below where I have my individual YouTube channel, LifeIsRocqi. Subscribe over there. And then Oso has his individual YouTube channels, Smartt Love with 2 T's, as well as Oso the Therapist. So check out our individual stuff. But yeah, today we're going to be doing a reaction. And as you all know, if you don't, I am polyamorous. I am in a polyamorous relationship with Oso. So Jubilee did a video called Can Sex and Love Be Separate? Polyamory versus Monogamy, Middle Ground. So I'm going to react to that today. Again, if you would like to see me reacting to this video on screen, please subscribe so we can hire a video editor, because otherwise that link is going to be in the description box below. All right, let's get started, shall we?
Middle Ground is a social experiment that brings humans with opposing beliefs together. These discussions may contain viewpoints that are the result of misinformation. Remember to seek out experts and to be critical of your own biases while forming an opinion. Please see the humanity in each participant, and as always, we encourage empathy.
So maybe I haven't watched Middle Ground or Jubilee in a while, but they did not used to have those disclaimers. And if they have a disclaimer on this particular episode because it's regarding polyamory, that is very eye-opening, just to show the destigmatization that needs to happen and that there is still a huge stigma around polyamory, to the point that we can't even have honest discussions or understand that it is a valid option for many people. It's very fascinating. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Come on. Oh, now they have a
There's plenty of
content.
people out there that can separate sex and love, but for me, when I have sex with someone, I fall in love with them. And while I do have friends with benefits, these people are chosen very specifically because I know that I will have to go through heartbreak on my own when I have sex with them.
Interesting. Okay, check out today's intro.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. I can separate love and sex.
So I think what I'm gonna do is just say where I fall in and then hear what they say and then respond to them. Y'all with it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, I can separate love and sex. Yes. And it's interesting because I know a lot of women can't, and women are seen as they aren't able to, whereas men are like, yeah, they can of course separate it. If they cheat, it's just for sex. They don't got nothing to do with it. Whereas if a woman cheats, it's all about love and all that other stuff. So I don't know. I think like when it came to my first sexual experience, I was like, I want to be in love with that person. But after that, I sort of questioned why I had such restrictions around sexual experiences. I was like, why do I have to be in a relationship? Why do I have to have love for this person and this person have love for me? With my first, I wanted to be comfortable, so that love was kind of adding to that comfort. But after that, I was comfortable in my body. I was comfortable having sex. So it was like, well, why am I putting these restrictions on myself? And I was like, well, I don't have to. Sex is pleasurable. It feels good. So I can have sex without it being in a relationship. I can have sex without being attached to love. And maybe that's the Aquarian me, the logical mind of me, but I'm able to do that. But it's also like, I know who I can do that with. So like, if I have any sort of crush or feelings towards you, that is not the person who can be a fuck buddy or friends with benefits. That's not that person, because sex is only going to enhance those feelings, right? Whereas like, I'm cool, you cool, we want to get it on and popping, but ain't nobody interested in a relationship, then that works. I've had one nights, but it's been like I've known of them. It's not like a random stranger on the street. And then like I've had friends with benefits. I've had like consistent friends with benefits, which I'm very thankful, because like outside of school, it's hard to find consistent sexual partners. It really is. Just because you're not in proximity with as many people anymore. So it is more of a challenge to find that. But yeah, I can definitely separate it. But as I am dating and experiencing women now, I've realized that even though I was able to have casual sex with men, it's not something that I want to do with women. I have had one partner who I had some casual sex with, but I want to have that emotional experience with a woman. Like, it's already, emotions are enhanced, right? And then I've been waiting my whole life to have these experiences with women. So with women, I do want love and sex to be together. And if it's not love, just a strong emotional connection, attraction, and attachment with that sexual experience. So interesting things. Let me know your thoughts. Can you separate love and sex? But let's see what they have to say. So a lot of people sitting down.
For me, I think that I can separate it, but oftentimes it doesn't turn out that way. This is kind of the cliche, but I do think that sex for me is better when I'm in love and when I have respect and communication with the person. I also think it depends on how we define love, because I can maybe, love that person as a human, but maybe not in a romantic sense. So I think there's a lot of nuance around it. I'm not really...
And that's something that I've broken down when with love. So I say an emotional love, a platonic love, romantic love, familial love, that kind of thing. And the distinct part with the emotional love not being a romantic love is like, I love you for who you are as a person outside of me. Like, I can see who you are, the qualities about you, and love that about you. But it doesn't mean that I'm in love in a romantic sense with you. Or that even it's platonic love where it's like, I want to be your friend and I'm loving our friendship together. It's just like, I see you over there by yourself doing your thing and I love who you are, type of thing.
Someone who's going to say like one or the other.
I also agree with that as well. When you have those intense feelings for a person, the sex definitely hits different. Knowing that you feel safe enough with this person to be emotionally vulnerable as well as physically vulnerable with them, it's a very special bond that you share.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I really resonate with that because I'm actually a survivor of sexual assault and I'm also disabled, so I think that trust plays a really huge role, and that perhaps could even, be more important than the love factor.
I think for me, I can make the clear distinction because I've had a lot of meaningless sex in my lifetime to make me feel good, to occupy the sense of loneliness, and then I've loved someone, but the sex part just hasn't worked out, but the love is there. And sadly, relationships like that didn't work out for me. And I do agree with what you guys said. When I'm in love and I can trust someone, it's better, especially as a trans individual. There's a lot of people out there trying to fetishize that don't understand your body or respect you. So having the love part makes it a lot better.
I love deeply. The people that are around me feel that. Love and sex to me are completely different things. They absolutely can exist separately. I hate the fact that even the polyamory community is fetishized as well, and it's like completely sexualized. It's only about the sex. Similarly to you, I have a sexual trauma.
So let me address that. Polyamory is the... Okay, there's a couple ways to break this down. Polyamory is having multiple committed relationships simultaneously, all with the knowing or knowledge and consent of all involved, right? So there's the overall definition, but then you have within the community the difference between polyamory as an identity and polyamory as a lifestyle. So there's a lot of just kind of division on that. Some people identify it as a lifestyle, some people identify it as an identity. I understand it as both. So for me, I'm individually polyamorous, meaning I'm polyamorous whether I have 0 partners, 1 partner, 2 partners, however many. And it's because I naturally have the capacity to romantically love more than 1 person at a time and pour into more than 1 person at a time. Now, yes, my max cap is 2 because it is a lot of energy, but some people have a higher capacity or higher polysaturation than I do. And like, no diss to them. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, respect where you are, you don't, right? But then where the lifestyle is, that's where it's like actively engaging with multiple partners at one time. So like right now, it's just my 1 partner. I'm not actively dating. So some may be like, oh, I'm not practicing the polyamory lifestyle right now. But to me, like it's still who I am. I'm still watching shit like this. Like I'm still a part of the culture, still part of the community. So me not actively engaging with multiple people at the same time doesn't take away from that identity for me. But some people, it's only what they do, it's not who they are. So that being said, it can definitely be like, for them, they may go back and forth between monogamy and polyamory and things like that. But I also identify the practice or the lifestyle of polyamory as in dealing with my partner, engaging with other people or multiple people, dealing with the emotions that come up. I'm still like in the practice of having to do the work that it takes to have, successful polyamorous relationships. So even if like I wasn't dating anybody else, but my partner was, I would still consider that in the practice of it. Not everybody would, but that's what I think it is. So a lot of people, a lot of mono people assume polyamory is all about sex. It's about love and committed relationships. It's like multiple loves, polyamory. And then even though there's no shame to sex, sexual non-monogamy is just as valid. Polyamory just isn't that. And then like ethical non-monogamy is a huge umbrella. Polyamory is just one form. And then polyamory is also different than polygamy. Different histories, different cultures, different communities. It's just different. No diss to polygamy. It's just not polyamory.
Things in my life that affected me deeply that I'm still dealing with to this day. And the fact that it's automatically just clumped in is just something that I have to kind of oppose.
Well, I don't believe this is true for everyone. Obviously, there's plenty of people out there that can separate sex and love, but for me, when I have sex with someone, I fall in love with them. And while I do have friends with benefits, these people are chosen very specifically because I know that I will have to go through heartbreak on my own when I have sex with them.
I've been with the same person. My husband and I were high school sweethearts. He's the only person I've ever been with. And so it would be hard for me to separate sex and love simply because I've never had to.
I think it's also important to note that some people are maybe asexual. And so if I have an asexual partner, which I have not had before, I would have that discussion and it wouldn't have to be integral to be part of our connection and such. My name is Jessica and I'm polyamorous. To me, relationship anarchy really has to do with destructuring.
Okay, hold up.
To me, relationship anarchy really has to do with destructuring.
Okay, they have a definition on here, but the caption, maybe I can take the captions off. All right, cool. All right, so relationship anarchy is the application of anarchist principles to intimate relationships. Its values include autonomy, anti-hierarchical practices, lack of state control, anti-normativity, and community interdependence. So relationship anarchy is seen a lot within the polyam community. I'm not sure if it's a subset of polyamory or if it's its own thing, but it's definitely within the realm of ethical non-monogamy. And we see a lot of relationship anarchists within the polyam community. So I'm not sure if it's overlap like kink is. Like there's some people who are into polyamory and kink. Some people are just polyamory. Some people are just kink. We see a lot of overlap within these communities. So I'm not sure if relationship anarchy is one of them, but still a valid form of ethical non-monogamy.
Our ideas of hierarchical relationships in that romantic and sexual relationships don't have to be at the top. I think it's actually a lot healthier to have a community with our friends, our family, romantic partners, etc.
My current relationship status meets my needs.
So I love that they said relationship status. So like if you're single, does that meet your needs? If you're in a relationship, does that meet your needs? Versus like my partner meets my needs. So I like the twist that they put on that. I'm going to answer it because I am in a committed life partnership. I'm engaged, like we're getting married. So I'm going to answer from my partner. So my partner meets most of my needs. I'd say a solid 80%, which within monogamy, that's on Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married? 80-20 rule. Like your partner is only going to meet 80% of your needs. So within monogamy, you just have to accept that 20% of your needs aren't going to get met. But the thing about that is like that 20% is still needs. You're just like, well, guess I just got to accept this. That's a loss, you know? Whereas in polyamory, it's like, no, I can still get 20% of those needs met elsewhere, right? So Obviously, as some of you know, I'm bi. So Oso is not a woman, so he cannot meet those needs. And there's also some other stuff like the emotional connections I have with a woman giving in acts of service, a woman just being a woman. I can be girly with and shit. So there are some aspects that, like I talk about on LifeIsRocqi, my YouTube channel, where it's like I think a lot of women expect men to give what women give and not honor the differences that men have in how they give to relationships. That's another topic for another day. Go on LifeIsRocqi, link in the description box below to check out more of my thoughts on that. But yeah, he meets most of my needs. It's just not all of my needs. And like, while I'm okay, because it's been a while since I've actively dated, and you know, I'm focusing on wedding planning, we're trying for a baby, so it's just like other things, I'm transitioning my career, like it's just a lot of other things that has my attention right now. But I am very much well aware that I would be unfulfilled within myself if I never act on trying to have a relationship with a woman, specifically. Like I very much feel within my spirit that I need both. I need a man and a woman. So I'm okay for right now, but this is definitely not a always.
You know, one way I know I'm in the right relationship with my wife, we still enjoy texting each other, I love you. You know, you always start out in a relationship, oh, I love you. And then, you know, are you still doing that 10 years later?
We've had, both my fiance and I, our fair share of struggles with mental health in very different ways, but that understanding and that support, even if I do say something really fucked up, even if I do react maybe erratically or violently during a panic attack, he keeps coming back, he keeps trying. Our love is stronger after every single disagreement and every single hurdle.
So for myself, I practice a type of polyamory called solo polyamory, or sometimes a style called relationship anarchy. And these two styles.
Many solo polys remain single-ish, motivated by autonomy and personal freedoms versus being a part of a multi-person unit. So definitely solo polyamory is a subset of polyamory. And there's definitely a lot of solo polyamory people within the community that I associate with. And to me, my understanding of it is like they don't want to merge. So like they're against merging finances, being like nesting partners, maybe even having kids together. Some people are okay with some aspects of that, some people aren't. But overall, it's like your relationship with yourself is the ultimate priority, to the point that you may not necessarily do some of the other relationship escalator milestones that other people even within polyamory may do. So
are inherently less about hierarchy and more about autonomy for myself. With my current relationships, or what I'm able to achieve, it gives me enough flexibility for me to feel really good about the things that I choose to take part in. And even if I'm in a relationship that's not so great, or a relationship that isn't fulfilling to me, I can still be looking for other relationships, or maybe I have another existing relationship that is more fulfilling, or that actually like does support me in a way that my other relationships don't. My name is Randall and I'm polyamorous. For me, the process of coming out as polyamorous was really me deciding that getting out of monogamous relationships because I had feelings for somebody else was just not working for me. I noticed that other people were practicing other styles of relationships where they were being truthful to their partners and admitting the fact that they had feelings for other people and doing it ethically.
So I think we do need to address coming out as polyamorous. There's mixed ideas about using that term because it's definitely associated with the LGBTQ plus community. As someone who's bi and polyamorous, I definitely see the overlap. They are distinct and separate communities. A lot of overlap, but distinct and separate communities, cultures, histories, all of that. And then straight people are also polyamorous, so there's also that. However, because polyamory is still ostracized, we don't have protected rights, it's definitely very much a stigma. You can see how coming out is a similar process as a sexuality coming out. So that being said, I came out to my mom in 2018 as bi. She did not take it well whatsoever. However, I gave her time, I think like a month. I gave her time to just process it, and then like she came back around. But then I knew that I also needed to come out to her as polyamorous because I was in a relationship with a man, and I was like, she knows I'm bi, but I'm in a relationship with a man, so she may think I'm never gonna get a girlfriend, and it's like, no, that's not the case actually. So in 2020, it came out to her as polyamorous. Again, she did not respond well. I gave her time to process. It took her less time to process me as polyamorous. And what I did to come out to her about polyam was I just sent her a news video breaking down what polyamory was. And of course she was like, I could never. And I was like, this wasn't about you. This was about me telling you. So which, you know, it's illegal and stuff. And I was like, that's polygamy. That's not polyamory. So yeah, there's just a lot of ignorance. This is new, which is why I'm using my voice, I'm using my face, I'm using my relationship as representation, because we need more of it to normalize, to destigmatize. People don't know. People are just caught up. We've lived centuries in mononormativity with legit monogamy program. Like even as polyam newbies, we have to go through monogamy deconditioning just because we've been for so long in that mindset. So it's going to take time and representation, and I'm here for it. So let me know your comments or your questions in the comments below. And so that way we can bridge this understanding to just have polyamory as a valid relationship structure, and you don't have to choose monogamy as your default.
Currently, I am dissatisfied with my relationship status because I did just come out of a really bad breakup, so I'm single at this point, and I can be self-sufficient enough to enjoy my own company, but it's just in certain moments in life, like for example, I was taking a long road trip, and I just like imagined my ex, like, you know, me caressing her leg like while we're on the road trip, and you kind of wish that you just like had a person just to.
And that's the thing, as we're talking about self-care and self-love and all this other stuff, I love it, and people definitely needed to do it, but it's like you can still do that and want someone else or other people. Like it's, yes, you can find fulfillment in other areas of your life and friends and family and community and pets and children, that kind of thing. But it's like, but it's still not a romantic partner. And it's okay to want that. It's okay to acknowledge that it's different than all of those things, other things offer you, that you can still be fulfilled within yourself, to the most that you can be, as well as your community and stuff like that, but still want a romantic partner. Like it's okay to acknowledge that.
Share those moments with.
So I practice parallel polyamory, which means...
So parallel polyamory is when each individual relationship exists independently of either partner's additional romantic or sexual relationships. So with my metas, meaning my metamour, my partner's partners. So with Oso's partners, I prefer parallel polyamory, which means like I don't necessarily have to meet them. I don't have to spend time with them. Like I just do you, but I don't need to have a relationship with them. And it could be like platonic. Like I don't need to know them. That's your people. It's cool, but I don't need to know them. Whereas my partners or Oso's metas, sorry, loud stuff is happening around me. So I originally wanted kitchen table poly, which means that like my partners can come together at the kitchen table, like have conversations, be friendly towards each other. But right now I am in more of a preference of parallel polyamory, just because I want my relationships with women to be their own. I don't want them to have anything to do with a man being centered in that relationship, even if it's a platonic way. Like I haven't had relationships with women, so I just want to do it on my own, separate from him. And that's been my own journey of trying to figure that out. Ideally, life partner wise, I would prefer kitchen table, but we'll see. But right now I prefer more parallel with my own partners. So yeah.
Means that my husband and I see other people, and we don't necessarily need to meet or get along with the other people that we're seeing. And I love my husband. I've been with him for 18 years coming up, and I have some friends with benefits, but I am looking for someone else to be like in a relationship with that fulfills some needs that I'm not getting from my current partner. what I've been looking for, I'm starting to probably determine that I'm not going to find one person who is going to fill the rest of these boxes, and I may have to separate that up into multiple other people, whether it's relationship-wise or otherwise. I'm Bunny, and I'm polyamorous. The way that I deal with jealousy is I like to break it down and ask myself why. Why am I feeling jealous of my husband? Is it because he's spending time with someone else and I need more time with him or my other partners? Or is it something else? And once I break it down, I can then address those issues, such as requesting more time with that partner if I am feeling jealous that I am not getting enough time with them. Or I can take it upon myself to fill said time with someone else or with another activity to be able to not focus on the jealousy that I'm feeling.
And I think that's like so fascinating when polyamory is talked about. Mono folks were like, well, I'm a jealous person. One, it's interesting that you own an emotion, because it is an emotion, right? Two, it's not the greatest emotion to like own. Like, why are you just owning that as a part of yourself versus like wanting to be the best version of yourself? I find it very interesting. But anyways, jealousy is an emotion. A lot of times it's rooted in insecurity. Mine definitely was. And that was not even like, that was just me being insecure in our relationship because it was so new from every aspect. It was just new of us being together. It was my first long-term relationship. Like, it was first life partnership. Like, it was just new. So I was just very insecure. And with time and just appreciating what we have, I've grown more secure in it. So I'm not jealous anymore. But it was also with the understanding that within polyamory, you grow through your jealousy. Like, it's not something you just stay and own. It's like, no, I want to work on this within myself to become a better individual, better partner, that kind of thing. Like, I don't want to just attack out of jealousy. Like, I want better for our relationships, and it is emotion and something that I can understand about myself. Why is the jealousy presenting itself? What is there? And a lot of times once I became more secure in our relationship, it was just like a need or a want that wasn't getting met. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Oh, I just need to communicate this. And once I communicate it, I get it met. Bang, bada, boom. It's cool. So yeah. Yeah, I will say that a lot in the polyamory community is a lot of talk about compersion, which is joy for another's joy. And I am not naturally compersive when it comes to my partner dating. I am when it comes to kids, because that's how I think about joy for another's joy. And I'm like, yeah, kids make me happy all the time, even if I'm not directly engaging with them, right? But with him, it's like, I like the fact that he has the freedom to be himself, to connect with other women, things like that. But it doesn't, like, when he's going on a date, I'm not like super excited. Like, some people are naturally compersive. He's compersive with me dating women. And it's just like, yeah, I just don't have that reciprocally. And it's okay. Like, it's okay to not be in that, but also not be jealous, right? Like, you can be neutral. And that's really, it's like, yeah, do you. I'm happy that you get to do you. But, like, yeah, it's just, doesn't bring me extreme joy. I just feel neutral about it. Like, I'm not mad about it. I'm not ecstatic about it. You know? And that's okay.
Patriarchy is the root of
The jealousy that I'm feeling.
Patriarchy is the root of monogamy.
Okay, so patriarchy is the root of monogamy. I would say yes, solely because monogamy was not the norm at one point of humanity. Non-monogamy was actually the norm. But monogamy became beneficial when it came to property. And usually that was under a man, because women couldn't own property. So with that aspect, patriarchy is the root of monogamy. As far as the original intention of it. Like, monogamy became more important when it came to agriculture, when it came to like royalty, you know, property, things like that. So, yeah, it had a lot more to do with that than love of today. So.
In the little bit of like research, I guess, that I've been doing and realizing that it was absolutely contractual. It was absolutely for gain, advantageous reasons. It was never love.
Mm-hmm. Way back when it was like you said, it was contractual. Like women in general were an object to be purchased. While that has changed, that is still rooted in the system of monogamy and people thinking they need to be with someone forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's how people stay in abusive relationships.
I feel like there is a lot of pieces of monogamy that are rooted in that patriarchal sort of feel. However, there are a lot of people who feel like monogamy is just the best option for them and are connected to their person regardless of that. If we're thinking about queer relationships as well, and people who are married to a partner of the same gender or outside of the norm, I don't feel like they are feeling that patriarchy.
I don't know if I would say that it's like the reason that everyone is monogamous. It does play a role in just the way that we just construct our realities.
But we see monogamy across so many species, and that has me wondering, obviously...
Actually, it's so funny. So what is the numbers? I just did a short about this on my individual channel. So 90% of bird species are monogamous. They mate for life. So there is that. But I think for mammals, it was like 35%. If that, was it? Because it could have been 3 to 5. I can't remember the numbers. It was something with a 3 and something with a 5. But it was not a majority whatsoever. It was, yeah, it had to be lower. But majority of species on the planet are non-monogamous. They, like, the males don't even stick around to raise the kids. And the females only raise, like, one season of offspring at a time. So it's like, yeah. it's majority of species are not monogamous. I don't know where we got this understanding that so many are monogamous. Nah, majority of them aren't. Yeah. So
in human society, it was a big component, but there's something so much larger than that in monogamy that reaffirms my belief that it's not really about the patriarchy. It's about this inherent need within us, and some of us lean towards monogamy and some of us lean towards polyamory, and that's just the way it is.
Obviously, I'm a little bit older than everybody here. I grew up and really didn't know much different. The churches were pretty much, this is right, this is wrong. You know, when somebody said polygamy, I was like, oh, they must live in Utah. That's about the only place you knew where that could possibly exist. And there was no discussion of why somebody has that relationship. You didn't talk about any of that.
We should make a distinction that.
So, because I had to look it up because I didn't want y'all to take away. So, scientists estimate that less than 5% of the 5,000 mammal species in the world practice any form of monogamy whatsoever. Less than 5% of mammals. Okay? And then with other types of species outside of mammals, that's even less. So, just so you know, non-monogamy is the norm amongst the animal world. And since humans are animals, let's assess what's actually beneficial for us. Because infidelity is a huge issue throughout the centuries. And yet, we now have this ethical non-monogamous option, and people just blatantly turn it down. It's like, well, is monogamy working? There are some people who are monoamorous. They only have the capacity to romantically love one person at a time, to pour into one relationship at a time. Totally valid. But why is that the default? When monogamy has been shown that it does not work for everyone. Just saying.
That it's not also polygamy. We are polyamorous.
Okay.
So polyamorous and polygamy are two.
Yeah.
Just different.
So a lot of people like to go by definitions. Polyamory means multiple loves. Polygamy means multiple spouses. However, there's also history, culture, and community attached with those terms. So newbies like to be like, oh, well, polyamory is the first step to polygamy. And it's like, I'm about to get married in August, and I'm polyamorous and going to be married. I'm still not polygamous because that is an entirely different culture. There's entirely different history, entirely different community. I'm not a part of that. I'm a part of polyamory. And polyamory is more for queer identified people because polygamy is straight hetero. So that's very one man with multiple women, one woman with multiple men. It's very hetero. So that's not me, right? So yeah.
Different things.
And see, a lot of it is,
Right, just information and
yeah, I grew
knowing.
up not knowing.
Right.
It's unrealistic to commit to being with someone forever.
It's unrealistic to commit to being with someone forever. I don't agree with that. Just because I am committing to life partnership with Oso, but I think we are more committed to our relationship and growing in that relationship than we are to forever. So if at some point within our relationship, like, it's not working, we're no longer happy, it's no longer smooth, I think, like, yeah, we're like, okay, we can, like, step away from each other. I think at the end of the day, we love each other for who we are individually. So at the end of the day, I got your back, forever. But romantically, it may not always work out, and that's okay. I think some people are so committed to forever that they don't necessarily look out for what's best for them, which is an issue. But I can definitely commit to being with him forever. And again, if at some point it's just not healthy, then that's when we need to reassess what is best for us individually and what's best for our relationship. But making that commitment and trying to make sure that I honor that commitment is definitely something I have no problem committing to.
So I feel like we spend a lot of our lives dating and trying to figure out who we'd like to be with. And we don't always get it right. So I feel like thinking about it that way, it's unrealistic to think about the fact that the one person that you end up choosing will be your forever person. It could change in the future. The divorce rate is very high in this country. So I think that's an easy way to think about it.
Mm-hmm. I also think it fits into that fairy tale concept that, this is the one. And living on a planet that harbors like 7 billion people, I feel like that's highly unrealistic that you're just gonna be in love with just this one person your entire life. My name is Mel and I'm monogamous. I've just had this self-discovery that there's so many things about myself that I just need to work on, and it's rooted in me just not wanting to go out of my comfort zone, and polyamory is definitely something that is out of my comfort zone. If I was to try it, maybe I would actually like it.
I think it really depends on the person. I mean, I feel like I can only speak for myself. A lot of people do stay together for, say, kids or something like that, or perhaps finances. It's, a privilege to be able to maybe get divorced or live on one income. So I wouldn't say that it's a, catch-all black and white issue.
I definitely feel that you can be with someone forever, but you're going to change as individuals as you grow. And it all depends on how those changes and work with each other. So if you're able to change and accept the changes of your partner, then you can be together forever. But a lot of people change, not necessarily in a bad way, but in an incompatible way.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would also like to add, I did believe that I would have a forever person, but recent experiences of a breakup that just happened, that's what changed my perspective. And I looked at it more logically. I should be more open to the fact that I will meet other people down the line, and I shouldn't assume that this person is going to be with me my entire life.
I mean, I'm polyamorous, but I've been married to my first boyfriend since we were like teenagers. I think that's my forever person. And I believe that for me, and with the waves and with the changes, you make that recommitment over and over again. And I think that there can be that forever person for anyone, but I also understand experience plays a role in that tremendously, and I haven't had that experience of loss.
My opinions of this have shifted after being in a really toxic, bad relationship where I really wanted it to be my forever, but deep down I always knew it probably wasn't going to be feasible. And then after that relationship, I didn't want to be in a relationship at all. And this amazing person came into my life, and I knew, and I tried to push him away, but it became evident that that was just my person. My name is Luca, and I'm monogamous.
Yeah.
After being in a polyamorous relationship, I really knew monogamy was the route I wanted to take. There was some jealousy going on in the relationship as to how I loved each person, and that I couldn't divide it 50-50, and I didn't want to. I want to be able to give 100% of myself.
Alright, so let's address that shit. Love is abundant, not scarce. And it is going to be different because there are different individuals and therefore different connections. Now, as far as the time, energy, and effort you give to a relationship, that is something different, okay? And that depends on need, okay? So, like, there are comment relationships where it's basically like a, woo, you know, like we're not necessarily consistently talking to each other or seeing each other, but when you come in my life, we're good, we're connecting, there's love there, right? And there's also, like, in more hierarchical polyamory, there's secondary partners where you may not spend as much time together as you do with your nesting partner, the person you live with, and things like that. So there are areas for it not being equal, but it being equitable. Okay, so like everybody is getting their needs met, but it may not be the same time, energy, and effort that you are putting into each relationship or each connection. So there's that. Now, if you want, like, co-primaries exist where you have two primary relationships, meaning that you give as much to each of them. And not everybody has the capacity to do that. Some people do, I do. But yeah, it's just depends on what you have the capacity for and what everybody needs.
To one person.
Oh, it's gonna
Get your money, 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 get your...
I grew up in
Back into the video.
The home environment that I grew up in set a good example for my future relationships.
Nope. So my parents got divorced after 35 years and they shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. So I'm grateful for being here, but yeah, they got together when they shouldn't have. They had a child when they shouldn't have. They got married when they shouldn't have. Like, they weren't compatible in multiple ways, and they weren't a healthy relationship model for me. So they were great parents, but they were not a good relationship model for me.
I think for myself, I grew up seeing a lot of broken homes and people who had divorced parents, and I felt super fortunate that that wasn't my home life, and I'm sure it shaped me in ways that I'm not even able to comprehend. They were a really good example of the way that I want to treat another human.
My mother, I just remember her like doing it all. She was just like the pillar of strength, and I think just saying that, I always thought like, okay, I can do it no matter what, and if I have a husband that can complement that, then that's awesome. My name is Emerald, and I'm monogamous. My husband and I have been together for 17 years, and I think that within our monogamy, there's an issue that I have with him that we're going to address and get head on, and we're able to fix that within our relationship, as opposed to introducing other people. And so I think that over the years,
Ooh, it's so infuriating when people have this assumption that people in open relationships as well as polyamory, that there is something wrong with your relationship. And that is not necessarily the case. And if it is the case, the poly or the open don't work out either because there's something wrong in the relationship. But other people like me, like Oso and I were dating other people prior to our committed life partnership. So we went in already non-monogamous, right? It was just hey, we want to continue this non-monogamy. Like, we don't want to have a relationship where it's monogamous. We don't want that. Neither of us want that. So, okay, you in agreement? I'm in agreement? Cool, we moving forward. So, like, nothing was wrong in our relationship. We just weren't monogamous. Like, that's it. That's it. So it's so irritating how people have this assumption that something must be wrong. And then on the flip, because I've been living my truth out loud as a polyamorous person, a lot of people assume because I'm getting married that I'm going to now be monogamous. And it's like, no, bruh, nothing's changing. Like, yes, we're married, but I'm still polyamorous. He's still polyamorous. Still polyamorous marriage. Like, come on. But anyways.
Our foundation has been strengthened because we're able to communicate to one another.
And it's like, if we have stuff, like, we're in premarital counseling now. Like, if we have stuff, we work on our relationship. Like monogamous people do. Like, people have assumptions. They don't know. Here I am. Please let me know your questions in the comments below, because Jesus, we need to clarify. There's a lot of ignorance out there. And it's just lack of representation.
I grew up, my parents are married, they've been married from my birth to now. Eventually my mom stayed home and my dad kept working, but he still was trying to be active in my brother and mine's life. But as I developed mental health issues and became a difficult child, he did not cope well with that, and he kind of like pieced out for a bit. So I don't think that set a very great example, because in my greatest time of need, I would have appreciated if he stuck by my mom and stuck by me. So even if it is difficult for me to interact with my child, that's not what I want for my future.
My experience growing up was definitely similar to yours. My father was away a lot, so it was just me, my older sister, and my mom. And the way that my parents communicate, it's like their relationship, they can do pretty much over the phone. It's that lack of communication, and also having an emotionally unavailable mother, it definitely shaped a lot of codependency issues on my end.
My father was an alcoholic up and through my teenage years, and when he recovered, my mother became a really bad alcoholic. I guess a good precedent for monogamy, you stay together with the same person till death. They were together until she died, but it was not good for either of them. I don't think that they loved each other at the point in time that I saw them. All it kind of like says to me in that is like, don't stay with someone because you're supposed to, because you signed a piece of paper, or because you have children together. You need to take care of yourself first, because you can't be a good parent to your child. You can't be a good partner if you aren't taking care of yourself.
I grew up in a pretty religious household. There were certain ways that you needed to behave, certain ways that you needed to act and be, and I played that role really, really well. And I was applauded for it, and I was given opportunities because of it. And to kind of step out of that was really hard, and mainly because my family was just surrounded by a lot of secrecy. We don't talk about things. We shift them under the rug, and we just bury our emotions as much as we can so that we don't really have to deal with it. And that is not at all how I'm choosing to lead my life. My name is Katie, and I'm polyamorous. I struggled with my faith and also being a polyamorous person, because this is absolutely completely frowned upon in our community. I was a worship pastor for many, many years in a very conservative church. When I decided to just be a little bit more truthful with who I was, I had to really re-wrap my mind around what I truly conceived God to be and what that love towards me looks like. I realized there was just no way that I could keep hiding this really important part of myself.
A polyamorous relationship is appropriate for raising a family.
Alrighty, let's get to this hot topic. So, obviously, I am polyamorous. Oso is polyamorous. We're going to have a polyamorous marriage, so we're going to be raising kids. So, a lot of people, again, assume it's all about sex, so then they deem it inappropriate for children, but again, polyamory is about committed relationships. So just like single parents, we're not going to be parading people by our kids. Like, that's still, no. You got to be serious. You got to be able to have a relationship with them, be good around kids, all that. Vetted thoroughly, okay? But it's also how we plan to raise our children, because I'm queer. So I already have to raise them with the understanding of sexuality and what that looks like, as well as gender and what that looks like. But also, we're just going to say, when it comes to like dating and relationships, hey, monogamy isn't your only option. You also have these other options, and you have to figure out what works best for you, what works best for your relationship, and things like that. And so we're normalizing it. That's how we're raising our children, with the understanding of polyamory. This is what your parents do. Doesn't have to be for you. You have to choose what's best for you. But that's how we plan to raise them, with a normalization of it. Like, there's nothing wrong about it. It's a valid relationship structure. It's just you have to find what works for you. Okay. And again, we're not parading random people by our children. So outside of that, why would it be inappropriate? Because it's not the norm. Now, we fully already, we're going to be homeschooling, but we do have to also prepare them for other kids making fun of them, because we're also online and stuff like that. So we also have to prepare them for that aspect. Like, hey, other people may think this about it, and like we have something called roasting role play, where we're gonna like, all right, we're gonna roast you. You gotta roast us back. Where you at? Like, just preparing them, because kids are mean, right? So we do have to prepare them for that. This has to do with just bullies and stuff, like how to handle those situations. But yeah, so I think it's very appropriate. I think there are more loving people in children's lives when you have polyamorous families, more people who can, take the brunt. Like, nuclear families don't work. It's too much on two people. That's why Black communities used to have more association with extended families. You have the grandparents, the aunts, uncles, the cousins, all of that, the fictive kin, where it's like you need more support to raise children. You need a village. So instead of that extended family, because a lot of us have moved away from our blood relatives, polyamorous families are becoming that new village, essentially. So I find it very appropriate.
So I have a 6-year-old, and me and my 2 partners, we raise him, and Baltimore City, schools knows about it.
Maryland
has an IEP, so that means he has some learning disabilities, and there's 3 people to support, to be there for him. So I don't know, I think for me, just it's allowed me the freedom to, kind of go after goals, go after dreams, and have the support system still at home. And I know my son is lacking nothing. I mean, it's tricky because, you have other little kids are like, oh, why does Lucas have 2 moms and a dad, and it's just...
And then you also got to think about it in the time that we're in with blended families. Like, it's not that big of a difference between step-parents. Like, we already live in blended families where it's more than one parent, right? So it's like, it's not that big of a leap, y'all. It's not that big of a leap. I don't know why it's not computing. It's not that big of a leap. Like, we already talk about, kids with 2 mommies or 2 daddies. We talk about, I have my mommy and my stepdad, and then I have my dad and my stepmom. So what's the big damn difference?
It's kind of easy to just be, families just look different sometimes.
Yes.
Just being more open.
Yes. Families look different. People look different. Accept the differences. Ain't nothing wrong with the differences. Come on now.
In itself is going to give kind of just more space for these family structures to be just respected.
Yes.
Because I know that in my community, I think we're the only ones really kind of openly being this way about who we are. Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen any sort of backlash or anything like that. So
that's good.
Like, logically, practically, it does make sense to have that support. And we're also talking about kids when we say family. I think it expands much further than that. And so you see people who already have multiple parents with stepdads, stepmoms. And so I see no reason that this is not an addition to that, So I just want to put that forth too.
The one thing I heard is the 3 of you, whatever you got to do, you're going to do so he can be successful and loved and cared for and feel safe and be safe. My name is Mike, and I am monogamous. What I love about my wife so much and makes our marriage special is A, she puts up with me. And we have found ways that we support each other with what we like to do professionally and spiritually and help out. And I think that's a lot of what I took away today. I saw that with the other side.
So as for my household, we have 5 children. Our parents live 2.5 hours away, so it's mainly us doing the brunt of the school pickups, drop off, all that kind of stuff. While I do see that it would be very beneficial to have someone else.
Sorry, it's loading. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, your questions. Yeah, it's this is an ongoing conversation. Check out our Polyamorous Journey playlist, where we have episodes on our podcast with us talking about our polyamorous journey. And then on my individual YouTube channel, LifeIsRocqi, I have my polyamorous journey, where not only do I talk about my perspective, but I also educate, advocate, that kind of thing. So check that out as well. Let's see. I can back it up.
The school pickups, drop off, all that kind of stuff. While I do say that it would be very beneficial to have someone else.
Okay. I don't know what she said. She was the one that didn't come up for It's Appropriate. So I don't know what she's about to say. But there's also music playing in the place upstairs. So I don't want it to be recorded and then to get called. Alright, so I'm gonna just end it here because it's not doing. So I don't know what she says. But again, the video is in the link is in the description box below. But yes, would you be open to polyamory? If it's not for you, totally fine. Stick with monogamy or whatever works for you. That's the thing. Everybody gotta find what works for them. We got one life to live, y'all. We gotta make it work for us. Okay? But all right. Take care of you and have a beautiful day. Peace and love.